You're listening to PetLifeRadio.com.
Hello, all of you feline friends out there in listening land. This is Michelle Fern, the new show host of Cattitude on PetLifeRadio.com. What an exciting show today. We're going to hear from one of my favorite people, Doc Halligan. She works with Joey Herrick at Lucy Pet Products, and they are doing so much for animal rescue. So stay tuned. We'll be right back after this message.
You know that feeling when you go to clean the litter box and it's a complete disaster? Yeah, we've got you covered. Introducing World's Best Cat Litter Zero Mess, the advanced litter that gives you 2 times better clumping and more odor control with less litter. Zero Mess combines the concentrated power of corn with super absorbent plant fibers. Translation, scoop once and you're done. Find it at a pet store near you and save $2. Visit www.saveonworldsbest.com.
Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back, everyone. I'd like to introduce, I call her Doc, but Doc Karen Halligan, and she is a very well-known veterinarian. She works closely with Joey Herrick with the Lucy Pet Product Foundation. And, well, rather than me yap about you, why don't you tell us, Doc, all about you?
Okay, well, I graduated from UC Davis in 1989, and I've been practicing ever since. I actually started shelter medicine, which is interesting. I became a shelter vet for over 12 years. I was the director of veterinary services for the SPCA LA, and then that's when I was exposed to the 80,000 dogs, cats, kittens, and puppies being euthanized in our country every week. It was rather shocking to me. And in fact, I was unfortunately having to euthanize animals for space at the shelter. Nice animals, sweet animals, and it really took a toll on me. I lasted 12 years, but ended up just having, a burnout with it and feeling like, I needed to do something more. And lo and behold, Joey Herrick came in my life and asked me to run his foundation with his, mobile spay neuter clinic. I jumped at the chance, and I've been there now almost 4 years. We've spayed and neutered and vaccinated over 16,000 animals. The Lucy Pet Foundation has a free mobile spay neuter clinic for low-income residents in the city of Los Angeles, and we would like to take that model around the country and have a spay neuter van in every state. And then I'm also Chief Vet Officer for Lucy Pet Products, helping develop food, litter, shampoo. And my latest accomplishment is with Ricky the Rescue Cat, who is now surfing with his girlfriend at a little dachshund named Coppertone. So I have a very colorful, wonderful job.
Well, I got to meet Ricky, the rescue cat. Well, didn't see him driving, but I saw a tape of it. And
yes,
for everybody listening, there are pictures of the Lucy Pet Product bus and the inside of it on my blog on Pet Life Radio, so you can take a look, and I'm sure on the Lucy Pet Product Foundation site as well. But it's wonderful what you're doing. I applaud you for that, and I just think what you and Joey are doing is just a great service to all those animals, from populating to, break the cycle of, birth and then more animals and then birth and then more animals that end up, unfortunately, not getting adopted to their forever homes and end up either living homeless and getting diseased and dying, or getting, run over, or unfortunately put in a shelter and not getting adopted and getting euthanized.
Right. I was just fortunate to be, I'm on the board of Social Compassion and Legislation, and we just got a bill through the Assembly which is going to mandate that pet stores in California have to get their dogs, cats, rabbits from a shelter or a rescue, not puppy mills. So I actually, went up there and talked to the Assembly members, all 15 of them, and to pass AB 485. And I did. I was kind of emotional. I had to desensitize myself. But I talked about how I'd have a beautiful, loving animal lick my hand and have to euthanize it for space. And, every day I would have to go cage by cage and decide who's going to live and who's going to die. And it's a really horrible thing that I had to do. And it's happening every day in our country. And there are solutions to it. There's no reason to not spay or neuter your cat or dog. The studies are out showing that they live 40% longer, and, they just fit better when they're spayed or neutered. They've been domesticated for over 16,000 years, so, there's no reason to not get them fixed. And, we still hear people say, I'm not going to spay or neuter because I wouldn't do it to my kid. Why would I do it to them? And I say, because they're not human, they're pets, so it's still fighting that. Veterinarians don't always get the word out about how beneficial it is to them health-wise. And so that's also another big part of my job, is to do as much TV publicity as I can and talk about the benefits of spaying and neutering.
Okay, and Doc, before we get into that, I just want to make one point. I really like what about the bill that got passed in California. And it's not, I personally have nothing against breeders, especially, nothing against ethical breeders. I do have a problem with puppy mills. I don't think there's such a thing as cat mills, but I have a problem with that. And it's nothing against breeders. I know some people want purebred, but there's a lot of purebred rescues as well. But there are some people that want, show dogs. They want it to come from a breeder. That's fine. But if you're looking for just a great pet, personally, I'm a big fan of mutts. I love mutts. Mm-hmm. And I just think mutts, since they're a different, breeds that are meshed, they are stronger dogs. And I just like mutts. And I happen to like black border collie mixes. I didn't even know there was such a thing as the Black Velvet Club until I was at the Humane Society and saw the sign. I said, what does that mean, Black Velvet Club? And they told me that black dogs and black cats get adopted less than white ones, which makes no sense to me whatsoever, except if you don't want black hair on your clothes versus white hair. But if you have a pet, you have hair, and that's just how it is. And I'll take hair any day over my 5 fur babies.
Yeah. Well, I want to say, too, before we get off this, is I have no problem with reputable breeders. In fact, you've got to have purebred dogs because you want to be able to go, if you want a golden retriever, you want to be able to go get one. Yeah, check your shelter first. But this bill is only designed to prevent those genetic defect dogs being mass-produced in puppy mills. If we can stop people from buying those dogs by stopping the pet stores from buying them, then it's a win-win because people will either buy it from a reputable breeder or they'll get it from a shelter or a rescue. So I totally support breeders. Okay,
great. Now, let's talk about the comment you made, when people say, I won't do it to my child. Why would I do it to my dog and child? That's absolutely, to me, in my mind, that boggles my mind, ludicrous. And I also don't get why I've had people say, well, I have an indoor-outdoor cat, and I have a male. I didn't fix him, but I fixed the female because I don't want, my cat getting pregnant. Well, what do you think that male cat is doing to the female cats out there that are being reproduced, that are not getting caught, that are living in colonies?
Absolutely. And, the thing about Ricky, everyone's like, you're a cat person now. And it's like, no, I think I spend more time talking about cat issues because cats are not getting adopted like dogs. 7 out of 10 nationwide are getting killed that end up in a shelter. So it hasn't improved at all for cats. Dogs a little bit. And so I guess I'm very passionate, because I do see, I've seen kittens, loads of kittens just get euthanized because the cat population cats are prolific breeders, like you said. I mean, those males, they're out there mating. The females go into heat every 21 days, and we have a kitten season in cats that we don't have in dogs. Dogs only mate once or twice a year. The female only goes into estrus once or twice a year. Cats, every 21 days, starting in January, and it goes through October. So that's the problem, is they are much better at breeding. And so, you've got to neuter the males. And they're crazy. They're going to get hit by a car. They fight. They spread disease. I mean, you got to neuter the males, too. So it's as important to do the males as the girls. And it's a much easier, it takes me a minute to neuter a male cat. So the girls, it's about 10 minutes. So it's a really easy procedure on a male cat.
I didn't realize how bad it was with cats until we moved our studio into an area where there's a lot of outdoor cats, it seems. And I know some of them belong to, because we're in an industrial area, but it's not too far from residential. And we had one that was coming around, and I thought, this is a little kitten. Well, no, she was a mama because she had a little kitten. So, and I came from having dogs all my life. I didn't know much about cats. We had Dennis, but he's Maine Coon. He thinks he's a dog, so I don't really know cats. And before we knew it, I remember telling my producer, I said, I think this little cat, I think we ended up naming her Sammy because she would know if it was a boy or a girl. Well, she was getting bigger, and we thought maybe she's just eating well because she's very skinny. She's a little skinny thing. No, she had babies right in front of the studio door. 3 popped out. Then before we knew what was happening, and we had a humane trap. Some are really hard to catch. She was pregnant again. Yeah. And now, so we adopted the one that she had from the first litter. We adopted one from the second litter. She keeps having 3. So she had, 1 boy, 2 girls. The next was 3 girls. So there's 1 girl left. And I am supposed to be taking her to get her fixed on May 17th if it lasts that long. That's going to be, I think, too long. So I have to figure out a way to catch her. Humane traps, we tried that. She's very skinny, so she's able to grab the food. So maybe you have some tips on how to catch these.
We had a cat like that, too. She was able to get in there and get the food without tripping it.
Yeah. And then someone mentioned using a net.
Yeah, nets are like a fishing net with a pole on it. You could just go like that with her, probably. You might be, and that is half the battle sometimes, just trying to catch them. Yes, and they just keep having litter after. And you know that they can be mated by more than one male. So they can have up to 14 in a litter because they can have, multiple fathers.
The last litter, they were all striped. The litter before that, they were a mix. So 2 striped, 1 black and white, which black and white is Molly. So I think there were 2 different males there. And it's not like she's, oh, okay, I'm out looking for my boyfriend here. They produce a pheromone and they're raped by the male cats.
Correct. And the females the only thing that stops a female from having their miserable heat cycles, I mean, I've had owners bring their cats to me in emergency and they're actually in heat. They're miserable. The females want to get mated. So what happens is they attract the males because that stops their heat. And their cats are like rabbits. They're called induced ovulators. So what happens is when they have intercourse, copulation, the females ovulate. They're induced ovulators. So the mating makes them ovulate. So what do you think the chances are of them getting pregnant if they ovulate when they're having sex?
Right.
Can you imagine if you ovulated every time you had sex? I mean, you would get pregnant every time. That's what cats do and rabbits do. That is not true with any other species. Those 2 species are designed to have a lot of babies. And so that's why we have so many more cats and kittens than dogs.
Now, I've heard comments from readers and just people I've talked to that have said, and Sammy happens to be more a community cat than feral. She can be petted, but you can't pick her up. Right. If I do this, she won't like me, or if I put the net around her, she'll hate me. And that's I don't know a fraction of what you know, but I do know that when the two sisters from different litters were together, they didn't like each other. It took a while for them to get along. The mother now does not recognize her two kittens, and the kitten from the newest litter, one from the previous litter, actually hissed at her. So they're not, oh, you're my half sister. Hi. It's more like, I'm hissing at you because you're on my territory.
Yeah, right. And they have a lot of crossbreeding. That's the problem, is that the brother will have sex with the mother. The brother will have sex with the sister. This is dog and cat. So a lot of pet owners do not realize that siblings will mate, dog and cat. They do not discern family like that. So, people get a cat or a dog, brother, sister, and they don't get them fixed, and then they have puppies. And that's so much inbreeding that genetically they're not healthy animals.
I've heard that a lot, too. All right, first, so what if you come across, let's figure out with Sammy, because I'm sure other people have had this problem. You have a cat, they have kittens, and you give away the kittens. You're trying to capture the cat. What happens if you capture the cat and she's already pregnant? Or how would you know? Or just take her in anyway? Or what do you do?
We do spay them even if they're pregnant. So, unless it's to term, which, then we won't. But most of the time, it's, you can't really tell if they're pregnant. Sometimes dog and cat. So, the feti are just infantile, and we just spay them when they're pregnant. It's okay to do that.
We'll be right back right after this break. Molly, here's your dinner. Zeus, that's not your food.
Don't let that happen to your precious cat. Elevate your cat's eating experience with the Cat Tree Tray. The Cat Tree Tray keeps your cat's food off the floor and conveniently located on the cat tree. It's the perfect way to eat. It's a beautiful wrought iron tray that easily attaches to your cat tree and keeps dogs and other critters out of your cat's dish. A must for multi-pet households. There's a 6-inch tray for large bowls and a 4-inch tray for smaller bowls. Purchase your Cat Tree Tray today. Go right now to cattreetray.com. That's cattreetray.com. CATTREETRAY.com.
They called it elephant skin. It was rough, wrinkly, like a Brillo pad.
His hair was falling out in clumps.
Petey stopped eating and all his hair fell out.
Our golden retriever, Sundance, he scratched incessantly. There was hair all over.
DINOVITE.com.
859-428-1000.
The omega-3 fatty acids.
Flaxseed, zinc, alfalfa. The digestive enzymes that are cooked out of regular dog food.
Dinovite is nutrition.
Within 2 weeks, the shedding slowed down to almost none. The scratching went away after a few days, and Sundance's coat was starting to get shiny and glossy.
It's a 180 turnaround. His skin has cleared up. He's not in pain.
If your dog has shedding, dry skin, excessive scratching,
do the Dinovite.
859-428-1000.
859-428-1000. Dinovite for life.
DINOVITE.com.
Let's talk pets.
Let's talk pets
On Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back, everyone. All right, what are some things, as far as the myths that you hear, like people will, you had said some, actually, let's talk not instead of myths, let's talk about facts. You mentioned some really great facts in the beginning, that cats that are fixed live longer. I know for males, I think we talked once before, you said there's less chance of testicular cancer. What are some other benefits as far as, getting your cat fixed?
Well, I think there's the medical benefits and then there's the behavioral benefits. So are we just for cats, you were asking? Right?
Yes.
Okay. So the medical benefits for cats is breast cancer is deadly in cats, and it is prevented by spaying early. So the more heat cycles a cat has, the more her tissue gets sensitized to the estrogen and the higher her risk of getting breast cancer. They also get these infections in their uterus called pyometras. So those are all prevented, ovarian cancer, health problems, all prevented by spaying them. The big thing with the boys is that they cannot control their urge to mate. So a big problem with them is that they get hit by a car or they fight, they, mark their territory by fighting because it's so ingrained in them that they have to mate. Behaviorally, too, for the females will be naughty, they get grumpy, and they're just more relaxed when they've been spayed or neutered. And especially, they've been domesticated about half as long as dogs. And they do need to be inside in a home. And, you can train cats, too. I don't think people realize that they're trainable. They are, though. You can train them to sit and high five. Ricky walks on a leash. So people are, sometimes I think they are misunderstood about cats. They have like a connotation of being kind of sneaky, controlling animals when they're really not. Cats have unique personalities and they actually are cheaper to care for than a dog. You don't have to walk them. There are a lot of benefits to getting a cat, and they are very loving. Especially if you get them as a kitten, you can teach them to fetch, just by interacting with them. So I think sometimes I try to tell people that never even thought about getting a cat, why don't you foster a cat or kitten? Because a lot of the shelters have a need for fostering, and then you can kind of see, their personalities. You could be having the worst day in the world, and you have a litter of kittens. And, you've seen it on the Internet. Kittens are very entertaining. They're more so even than dogs and puppies. Their antics are hysterical, the kittens. So it's positive for you. People with pets live longer, and we really do need more people to adopt cats.
That's very well said. Now, where are some places people can look to adopt from various shelters besides, I know they can look on, Humane Society. Does the Lucy Pet Foundation have a listing of places for adoption or do you have any suggestions, Doc?
Yeah, well, if you're looking to adopt, go to petfinder.com. Petfinder.com has all of the shelters represented, and they have the pictures of the animals on their website. So that's probably the best place is petfinder.com. Also, there's a bunch of rescue groups in every city. So I would say to call or go down to there has to be a shelter near you, either an SPCA or a government shelter. I would check that out, ask them for referrals for rescue groups as well. Veterinarians, a lot of veterinarians now work with rescue groups. So they might have a couple that they could recommend. And the Internet is full of animals. I would stay away from newspaper and, unfortunately, Craigslist. I hate that because they have people buying puppies and cats on Craigslist, and I don't think that's the way to go. I think it's better to try to go to a facility where the animal's being housed is better, in my opinion.
Great ideas. And also, just for anyone who said, I'd love to adopt, but I'm on such a budget, there's a lot of places, there's a lot of rescues and shelters, and I know that the Lucy Pet Foundation's only in Los Angeles right now. I can see one in every state and sometime in the near future. Yeah. But there's a lot of places like Humane Society where they will do low-cost spay-neuter, low-cost shots, and most vets will actually just do a first visit to just check the kitten at no charge.
Yes. Yeah. And, everybody, day of spaying and neutering being too expensive now, there's support groups in every city where you can go find reduced costs for spaying and neutering, and vaccines as well. There's low-cost vaccines everywhere now. So we also do low-cost vaccines. Whenever we go out and we spay and neuter, we offer from 10 to 2 a low-cost vaccine to get the pets, licensed. They have to have rabies for dogs, so we do that as well. But yeah, you just have to ask around, get quotes, and, we would love to have presence in every state, working with a group that's maybe already established. Like the Oregon Humane Society, we just donated 1 full ton of litter.
Wow.
To the Oregon Humane Society. And that is a really amazing humane society and, something to be modeled. And Joey and I even talked about us having a shelter someday so that we could also have animals for adoption, because it's the whole thing, you got to do training, adoption, spay and neuter, vaccines, and we'd like to be one of the biggest animal welfare organizations in the country. And I think the route we're on, we're headed towards that.
You guys have come really far in a very short time,
Yes.
And I think what you've done is amazing. So to finish up, where can people find out more about the Lucy Pet Foundation and then also Lucy Pet products? Because purchasing them supports the Lucy Pet Foundation.
Yes, so if you go to lucypetfoundation.org, that is our foundation. A lot of pet tips on there. You can see videos of the bus. We post all the time, so that's really good to learn about the organization. There's a little blurb on Joey and Dr. Harris, who is doing a lot of the surgeries now because I've pulled back. I started doing all the surgeries and now hired her, meet the staff. So lucypetfoundation.org. And then if you want to learn about our amazing products which help fund the foundation, you can go to lucypetproducts.com and see our litter, shampoo, and our soon-to-be launched food, which is going to be really exciting. So.
I'm so glad to hear it. Doc, thank you so much for coming on Cattitude as my first guest as new show host for Cattitude and telling us about the importance of rescue and the importance of getting your cats spayed or neutered and how, just about Lucy Pet products, Lucy Pet Foundation, and all the good they do. Such great information.
Well, thank you. I was honored to be your first guest, and I know that you're going to do well educating pet owners and saving animals' lives. So thank you for having me.
All right, thank you. That's it for this episode. Keep purring and keep listening to Cattitude.
Let's Talk Pets, every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.